Welcome to Wrinkle Society of Hope. If this is your first time, welcome. And if you are returning, thank you so much for continuing to support and follow Wrinkle Society of Hope. Today, you are going to hear an amazing woman tell her stories of the wrinkles that she had pressed through in life in order to become the dynamic woman that she is today. So, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. You can follow us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify as well. And don't forget, hit that notification bell so that you can listen in on the new interviews as they come. And guess what? I would love to do an interview with you. So hit me up so we can share our motivational stories to encourage these other women. Thank you so much for coming today. Hello, Wrinkles family. We are back. I am so pumped. Me and this beautiful woman met a while ago when I was doing Summer Smile photos, and she graced me with her beautiful smile, her family beautiful smile, and I just have to bring her smile to the Wrinkles family. So I'm going to have her introduce herself to you all today.
Hi, it's great to see you. My name's Johnita McBride. I am from Gary, Indiana. I'm now in the Phoenix metro area. I work with families. I work with them to make sure that they have their futures in line.
Awesome. Well, you have been just a ray of sunshine since the day I met you, and your beautiful face is always shining like a ray of sunshine. Do you mind sharing? How did you feel when you might have had a physical change happen? How did you feel about that?
Oh, getting older, stuff does change. They tell you, they say 50 is the new 30, and that is really not true. But, and one of the things about getting older is not only are we getting older, but our friends are getting older, our parents are getting older. I've always been one to appreciate my old lady friends. Now I'm the old lady friend, and but you can't beat old ladies because they've experienced nothing. The game stays the same. The players change, and old ladies can tell you, look out for this, watch out for that. This has been my experience, especially smart old ladies, and but now I get to be old lady. Oh, but I know you asked about wrinkles, and I guess I can tell you about my latest wrinkle. The latest thing that's happened. I've been partnered. I'm married, divorced. Now I got a partner, and he and I have been together pre-COVID. So we met. We just kind of weird how that happened, but we've been together pre-COVID. And right when we first got together, my knees were horrible. So he encouraged me, get your knees fixed. You're locked down. Get your knees fixed. I'll take care of you. So I was able to do both knees in a year, and he did. He took very good care of me. But he's one of those guys. He's the runner and the swimming, and he's eating and healthy people. So I figured, okay, well. Like the other day we were talking, I'm like, man, I never thought I'd say I'd do this faster than you, because he was always, energizing people. So anyway, this year, it was this year, January, his knee went bad from all that running. So they will replace it. So January 15th, went in, got the knee replaced, came home, running around doing stuff. You're just doing stuff. And I'm like, why don't you sit down? I'm going to show you how you do it, because knee replacement is not that bad. Okay. Anyway, the next week, I'm sitting there talking to him. He says, take me to the hospital. What? Take me to the hospital now. Apple Watch is going off. Call EMT, call EMT, call EMT, which I didn't know they did that. So I rushed him to the local hospital, which, is more like a big urgent care. And they're like, well, we don't know quite what this is, but they did the initial scans and said, well, you have blood clots in both lungs and both legs. Okay, so they're like, we can't keep you here. We have to take you someplace that can handle this. So, just lay low. This wintertime, snowbirds are here, so all the hospitals are full. So that was like at 8 o'clock in the morning. He stayed in that bed till about 9 o'clock that night. And then they transported him to the heart hospital. So, okay, I get up and, by the way, before when he first told me he was going to have the surgery, I told him, bring your mama. Because I know when I had surgery, that's who I wanted. I wanted my mama. Yeah, mama comes. So anyway, they transport him to the heart hospital. Here we go. I'm on my way out there. So I'm like, I'll get him in the bed and get him comfortable, and I'll come home. We're sitting there talking, and he says, call the nurse, and fell out. And he coded while I'm sitting there. So I'm like calling the nurse. Nurse comes, and then the code blue. 30 people descended on the room. Of course, I got to leave the room. And I'm sitting there going, I didn't see this coming. Now, I sell insurance, so I talk to people about life and who, this is the possibility of death. And as you get older, so I know all the drill. But because he was always, it was just really crazy. He was so healthy, a lot of stuff I didn't bother with him, and it's not just the money. It's like, okay, you have insurance because you'd pass away and you want to make sure. But it wasn't just the money. I was going, wow, absolutely selfish. And what am I going to do now? We've been a team for so long. 5 years doesn't seem like a long time, but it was an intense 5 years because remember, 3 of them were on lockdown. So anyway, long story short, after they brought him back, and after 4 days of bed rest, and then they got him home. Okay. Which is a whole nother story because he's an awful patient. But I got to appreciate what it takes to take care of a sick partner because, my mother's been sick and passed away. So I walked through that. And my father passed away. So and my grandmother, but having a partner is different. The only thing I can see worse than that is a sick child. I can't even imagine what those poor people go through. So that was my latest wrinkle.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. I mean, that had to be so scary and traumatizing to be going through that situation from a knee surgery.
Yeah. The doctor, the hematologist told us that she said 60%. I don't know, because I had 2 knee surgeries, no clots, but she said it was she said 60. I don't know if it's that, but 6% of people that have lower body surgeries can experience a clot. A lot of times they go unnoticed. Yeah, but because he had so many and the ones in the lungs were so big, it was a real problem, So
how did you cope in that moment, dealing with that? I mean, like you said, all those thoughts going through your head, like, am I prepared? What's going to happen? Like, how did you get through that moment?
Yeah, because it's like, okay, all right, now what happens? Because while you're watching this, you go, what happens if he dies? Now what? What that changes everything. Okay, and you start thinking of the craziest stuff. But what got me through, one thing I did, even though I did it for him, was bring his mama. And people talk about your mama-in-laws, but his mother is a youthful, almost 80-year-old. And her presence, just, that's her kid and all, but her presence was probably more for me because I was here. It was just us two. So at least with her, I had, someone to bounce things off and, somebody to help get them a Gatorade, whatever, So that actually, she was my old lady friend, so that helped a lot, a lot. The other thing was, I knew that if he passed away, that while he was with me, I treated him well. And for me, that was a certain, because you go to a funeral and you see people, the one that's acting the biggest fool is usually the one that was the worst acting. They didn't treat the person right, and there's something they didn't say or something they shouldn't have said, and then they're acting a fool. But I thought, you know what? If this is it, it was 5 good years. So, okay, and I mean, it is what it is. And the other thing is, I know that no matter what, I have been taken care of. There have been situations that were horrible. And it's like, oh, okay, how do you get through this? How do I walk through this? How do I, like when my parent died, how do I make it through? Okay, one step at a time. And I know I've never been left behind, and I have always been taken care of. And usually I get a consolation prize. So that is how I got through it. It's like, okay, whatever happens, happens. It might not feel good. Remember, I don't know how old you are, but there were these toys called Weebles, and they were like egg looking. Okay, and they wobbled, but you couldn't knock them down. Well, that's how I feel. That okay, it can wobble, but I'm never down for the count. I'm always taken care of by no. It is not me.
Awesome. And you say you guys been together for 5 years.
5 years. Can you relate? Earl, 5 years. Internet dating, go figure.
Can you talk a little bit about when you met him and where you were in your life? Like, where were you in your life when you met him?
When I met him, I had a prior relationship I was in, and me and him had been together several years, but I couldn't get rid of that one. I couldn't get rid of him. So anyway, it finally worked out. I got rid of him. And just like when I got divorced or in between relationships, it probably sounds really crazy, but I'll be admitting this. I gave myself 30 days of mourning. Okay, you mourn the relationship. I can feel bad. I can whatever for 30 days. And then I went to a Black people meet, and I had a weekend of dating. So I dated 3 times a day, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So that's 9 dates, 3 days. Somebody's got to work. Sound crazy. Just like sales. It's a sales job. So when I talk to someone, I guess I should write that one. When I'm dating, I'm interviewing, just a job. So, okay, I'm interviewing to disqualify you, just like in sales. I'm interviewing to disqualify you. And he was like somewhere in the middle of my, and so I finished my weekend off, and I connected with him the most. That's how we got together.
I love that advice. 30 days to mourn.
30 days to mourn, because it's a death. It's like whatever hope I had or dreams we had for this relationship, and you get used to somebody and their craziness, and sometimes you kind of like they're crazy.
I love the strategy. I mean, the fact of the 30 days to mourn, and then you were like, I'm going to date regardless of, because I hear so many people say, oh, it was too much. I had too many, I went on 2 dates. They both were horrible. I'm done. I give up.
And especially dating in your 50s, there are a lot of men that are 50 with a 5-year-old. And you go, or 50 and he's got, a bunch of conditions, or he 50 and he was crappy to his wife and crappy to his kids, and here, so it's definitely a sorting process, because, we all have our battle scars, but some of them is really bad. So you got to figure out which scars you can live with.
That's powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Which one you can live with. Because I think, and this is just, I know we went all to a whole different subject, but I think it's needed. It's a talk that's needed. I think there's so many women that are coming out here and thinking that these men, especially older dating, like you said, I'm going to be 47. And so as you date in your late 40s, 50s, 60s, these men are going to have some battle scars and some things that are going to be like, you know what? I have to deal with it because they're older now. They've been through life just like us.
Yeah, you go through, and some people have had, you get someone at 55 and he's never really held a job or had crappy jobs and never saved any money, or you get the ones that were really cute and they usually not so much now, but they don't know it. So you get those. Oh, no, you meet them all the time. They were 30 and he was hot. So the ladies were vying for his attention and paying his way. And, he was the man. And now, he got no pension. He got no work experience. He got no money. He got probably 3, 4, 5, 10 babies, People ain't checking for that, And and I was telling like my old lady friends. I had both of my old lady friends die within the last year. I had one that was 94, and her boyfriend was in his 50s. She had been fooling with this man for 30 years, and she had moved out here. He would come from Mississippi to visit her. Okay. And then my bestie, my ride or die, she was 75, I guess. And all through her, she was still dating because her husband, she was a widow. Her husband had died. Both of them had been married 30, 40 years. So still dating in that, dealing with, and the game is the same. Talking to them, dealing with men was the same as talking to somebody 17, dealing with men. The same complaints that we have. Young, it's the same man. He just can't run. It's the same man. He's still trying to cheat. He's still trying to. It's like what? He's still
Can't run. That's funny.
So the game, I tell you, the game never changes. It never changes. But anyway, we're way on a whole nother level.
So what advice do you give these women that are saying they're scared to go online and date, or they're just tired of trying? What advice would you give those women?
You have to know what you tolerate, because I meet women that say they don't want to deal with, they don't want to. Okay, which is your right. You don't have to. You don't need a man to complete you. But I tell you, it's good when something breaks and he can fix it. Yeah, they do serve a purpose. They really do. It's good, especially as you get older, to me, in my opinion. Especially when you start having health issues. I always want to know that someone knew if I woke up this morning. Somebody knew. Or I'm somebody's problem. I need to go to the doctor. I want to take myself. I'm somebody's problem. So that's my wife. But if you're older and you gotta realize they are not perfect, but neither are we. They're gonna have issues, and that dream that we have of that man is going to come in, and all this talk on the internet about the quality man and what all he has and does, and that's not real. Just because he makes over $200,000 does not mean he's a good man. And just because he doesn't make a lot of money doesn't mean he's a bad man. That's just the money part. If he's good to you and he loves you, even if he's irritating, because they're all irritating, and you want that companionship, then it's, give it a swirl, give it a try. That's, because I don't believe we were meant to be alone. I don't think we were. I think we were meant to have someone share our life with and share theirs. And I would also recommend not giving more than you receive. So you get someone that you hook up with and you're always giving and giving and giving, because we tend to be more nurturing. And he's not giving enough, or then it's not a deal to take. You have to make sure that because to me, everything is a business deal. Everything. You don't care, it's love. Okay, I really like you, and okay, okay, but it's a business deal. If and you are only as strong as your weakest link. So if he's got a whole bunch of problems and he's not adding to your situation, he's not nurturing or kind or whatever. I tell men that I will get in the car with you, but if I do not like where you're going, I'm not going to fight you for the wheel. I will get out of the car. Because I can't, you're grown. I can't, your mama didn't fix it. I'm going to try. So, as long as we are, you know who you are and you know what you need, and you get the basics, the basis of what you need, because then nobody's going to be able to fulfill everything. And it's worth a shot. It's worth a shot.
Well, that's so awesome. And it's so true, everything that you said. And, now looking back at the things that you've been through, the relationships that you've been through, and you are the woman that you are today, and you got a t-shirt made. Mm-hmm. What would that t-shirt say?
My t-shirt would say, show me what I don't see. Show me what I'm looking at. Every time in my life that I've had, the prayer was, help me see what I'm not seeing, what I'm looking at. Help me see what I am looking at. Help me see what I am looking at. Something jumps out the closet and smacks me in the face. Every time. I didn't see that. Because we get so accustomed to, we get blind. We don't see. I don't see that this is wrong. Or, that's like when you have a house, if you have a pile of junk in the floor, you might leave it there. If you leave it there too long, you don't even see it anymore. You got the house smells like a dog. You don't know it because you become nose blind. Well, that would be my t-shirt. Help me see what I'm looking at. Because sometimes I'm not that bright. I need some help.
You need some help sometime.
Girl, help me. Because it looks fine to me. And no, it's not fine. You need to address this. It's a problem.
Right.
And that would be my t-shirt.
Help me see. Well, as you see and you help in the community, tell us about what you are doing in the community.
I am not as involved as I used to be. I used to be on boards. What I did in Maricopa, I started a group. I don't want to call it an organization because we didn't have a charter. But out here, everyone's from someplace else. So I did once a month. Let's have tea. That's one of my dating things. That's a whole nother story. Let's have tea. So I put it on Eventbrite. Let's have tea. And I put, Black folks on it, Black women, because it's only for women. And the first person showed up was a white girl. And she was nice. And all these people started showing up and she's like, oh my God, I'm in the wrong room. And she couldn't stay, but she was like, oh, I think I left something in the car. And that was it for her. But we'd come together and start talking, and we'd find that, I had people that lived on the same block that were from the same city and didn't know each other. We got a lot of folks from Michigan. Who does what? Oh, we got a cybersecurity expert here. I had an 80-something-year-old woman who was an etiquette expert, who was a model. Beautiful woman. So everybody got to talk and get to know each other and exchange numbers, made friends, because you pass people all the time and you don't talk to them. Usually might be, hey, but I don't know who you are, what you do. It's just, hey, because you're my neighbor. So that's my local contribution now. I'm not feeding sick people or dealing with puppies, but I think that's important because we're also isolated. Sometimes you do, people like to say women don't support each other, but I think we do when we have the chance, when we know what's going on. So That's my community involvement now.
I think that is huge. I mean, it takes a village, but it also takes a village to support one another. And
Mm-hmm.
when you hear or have something in common, or just hear other people that's like, hey, I had this day, so let's have some tea. I love that. I think that is amazing. And those that are not from here, Maricopa is kind of isolated. It's out in the middle of boondocks. My brother lives up there.
I call it's a dirt island. It's a dirt because there's nothing around for 15 miles. So you are here.
You are there. I mean, it's way out there. And so, it's really good that I think that you did that because it brought some community, and I think
It
that's great.
does. And relationships people get to know.
Right.
Who knew? And what are you looking for? I'm looking for somebody to play with my kid. Oh, well, I have a lady, she's amazing. She and her husband adopted a 5-year-old, and they're well into their 60s. And they didn't have anybody for him to play with. Little boy is amazing. He has a full passport. Okay, here you go. But he thinks he's 60. So I need somebody to play with my 5-year-old, and other ladies are going, well, great. I need somebody to take my 5-year-old because I give me a break. So it really made a sense of community where we could give back and forth. So I was proud of that.
You should be. You should be. Well, everything about you is amazing. And I am so glad that you came to share today.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the invitation. I really do.
Well, we'll have to have you come back again and, on a live and talk about just dating and try to encourage some of these women that continue to kind of give up a little bit.
Yeah, because you don't have to do this alone. You do not have to do this alone.
Not at all. Well, thank you so much. And just so happy you came.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity.
Bye, Wrinkles.